Peace. I'm Hawaii Mike, and welcome to the world of LTD, where we live, translate, and define. That's live authenticity. We translate through creativity, and we define culture. Today, something's been going around a while. We've been talking about this for a minute, but it came up again yesterday. Hip hop is dead. Hip hop ain't dead. We just keep giving it away. That's my perspective. We forgot, we became complacent. We forgot where it came from because hip hop got so commercial. It's normal. I come from Generation X. I'm 52 years old. I was born in 1973, arguably the year, and this is a whole other division thing, arguably the year hip hop was created. We know it wasn't because it's been going and happening as an evolution of Black culture for thousands and hundreds of years in this country. That being said, we fell into their program. And the program for survival, period, for humans right now is money. So this all is just about money right now. Where before we were counterculture. We were community. You know what I'm saying? That's why we have these shirts. This is about community because unity is our capital. And the definition we use for community is simple. It's a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. The attitude was counterculture. The attitude was look at us. We are reflecting our life in this world, in this country as we see it. That's what hip hop did. It reflected our life. That's why I say it's the most authentic expression of our modern human experience. The interests were just being fresh, right? How could we be fresh? It was competitive, yes, but it wasn't competitive in a way where it was like there wasn't enough room until it became about money. And the goal was just to be fly. Like we just wanted to be recognized. We wanted to be heard. We wanted to have a voice. That's what it was about. We forgot we're all in the same game. And now we're creating all this self destruction from the inside out. It's like the heads like my age and a few generations, I mean, the generation ahead of us are tired, right? They feel like this young stuff isn't what it is, but that's the same shit our parents were saying before, right? We have, I think, as Generation X, you're going to constantly hear me say this. We are the translation generation. We are the ones that need to talk about this. We're the ones that need to bring it because we were there in the beginning and got to see the early days as shorties and then got to participate in, I believe, the most important decade of building this culture and it becoming part of the worldwide stage was the 90s. That's when we came of age. I was I turned 20 in 93, you know? That was us coming of age and growing up, and that's when this culture really started to build. But at the same time, we were told it was a fad. We were told it wasn't supposed to be here. So all we were doing was trying to get what we could and get as far as we could. We didn't understand it was going to become what it is today. We are in rooms we were never supposed to be in. We're in rooms of some of the most racist companies historically, and now we're being, put on pedestals in those rooms. But our counterculture in the beginning wouldn't have allowed us to do that back then. And that's where I think we got lost. We're not in awe. We don't think we've accomplished anything. Again, this has been normalized. So this complicit, complacent nature that we have now is, to me, the scariest thing that's happening. We got to go back. We got to celebrate the essence. We got to look at this and take and extract the beauty that was the foundational elements of what made hip hop so important. It taught us unity, peace, and love. And that's what we saw. We saw unity amongst our peoples. There was a unified voice because we were expressing what was happening in our local areas, what was happening to us. And as it grew across the country, remember, this was pretty isolated for a lot of years. It was really happening here in New York and bubbling. There was knowledge, there was of self, right? There's wisdom, standing. And those things have kind of taken a back seat, really not even taking a back seat. I don't even know if they're still in the car for most people. I don't even know if a lot of people now either remember cats like us, our age, or the younger generations do even understand that that's part of it, that those are the foundational pillars, right? And I think it's important because words matter, right? They become literal programs. And if we're not, following the ones that work well, they're going to program other things like destruction, right? We can either build or we could destroy. We're choosing destruction of self right now. but we need to destroy those programs that they're feeding us. And so, we used to gatekeep. It used to be, you used to have to prove yourself. You couldn't just walk in and be like, yo, I'm here. You couldn't just hop on stage and grab the mic and be an MC. You couldn't just get into the parties. You know what I'm saying? Like, it became like bottle service. Before bottle service, you couldn't just get into the club. You couldn't get into the best club. Bottle service changed that shit because it became about the money. If I could buy myself into the club, now I can be at the coolest spots. And you know what that did? That took away the unity of dancing, right? We stopped dancing when bottle service came on. What did we do? We started standing on things, holding up bottles, you know what I'm saying? Wanted to just be seen in excess. So again, it's about chasing money. So that's why we feel things are dead, because if everything is about money, not culture, not community, not unity, not peace, not knowledge, not wisdom, not understanding, you'll never be fulfilled, because it's the aforementioned things that we're going to be fulfilled, because that fulfillment, that happiness is only going to be within. If you're constantly chasing your happiness from acknowledgement through money or likes and social media or follows or views or all these, once that stops, then what? Once that slows down, then what? Are you still not the same person because you're only built off of that? That's where we're lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, toys used to be dismissed and now they're everywhere, right? We allowed it though. And with being complicit, silence gives permission to let others do as they want. And that's how I believe things like drill became so popular, because it's the labels controlling the narrative and pumping these kids up to do what they do to sell more records, right? Because it helps them line their pockets. There's labels out there that supposedly were taking insurance claims out, life insurance policies out on rappers and cashing them in because they knew they'd probably get died. They're like hedging bets. Like, how do y'all feel about that? Like, really sit with that. Like, are you okay that that's somebody's son, daughter, brother, sister, a father to somebody else? Are we okay? Like, really, that's why we're dead. It's because we're complicit. We are silent. That's the deadness. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop isn't dead because hip hop is who we are. It's our energy. It's authenticity. It's how we live. The other part is like we've allowed these things to be like females to become over sexualized. Now, sex has always been a part of hip hop. Don't please trust Luke. Like, it's always been there. The female form has always been that, right? There's something, but we also used to have a certain level of protection, right? There was a certain place you couldn't go. You couldn't just talk about our people and we let it slide. Like, there's some, I'm not going to say this fucking kid's name right now, but y'all know who he is out there running, talking about another female rapper. How are we letting that happen? Like, there's no gatekeepers. That's why hip hop feels dead, because nobody cares. You know what I'm saying? But you care at the same time because you're saying hip hop is dead. So we have to choose a side. And to me, the side is celebration. We start to celebrate, we start to honor our past. We start to honor our achievements, the things that we've done, the all the man, yo, I'll bring this one up till I'm dead and I can't breathe no more. Breaking was never supposed to be in the Olympics. Nobody ever, that was never one of our goals. We never said this is gonna happen. Nah, but we don't celebrate that. And that's an amazing accomplishment just in itself. Like, just step back from that and just say, like, yo, breaking got into the Olympics. Something that came from our streets, our culture. And yes, it was competitive, but it was never necessarily a sport. And now it was on the greatest stage in sports. Like, that is something we have to be in awe of. And if we say hip hop is dead, it's a choice, right? It's us choosing to only see the stuff that we don't like. We never did that before. If we didn't like somebody, well, a lot of us would talk shit about it, or two, we just wouldn't listen to it and it would fucking fail. But we're pumping it up. And yes, there's bots and there's social media and there's all kinds of controlled media and monetary advertising and all these other things are getting pushed into it to make other things go to the top. But that doesn't mean we can't counter that. That's what we've always been great at. That's who we are as culture, right? But again, our knowledge right now is only focused on money. It's not focused on self. If we start to focus on knowledge of self, right? Our house, taking care of it, right? It's gonna change everything, because then we'll be able to understand through knowledge and experience that the wisdom. the stuff that matters. We can start to extract that and utilize that. And once we have some wisdom, we'll have a better understanding and how to paint those pictures of knowledge and wisdom, right? Because this thing right here, our third eye, our guts, where we really feel our intuition here, where we can see, remember, that was knowledge itself. Was I learned knowledge itself from hip hop. I was first introduced to it from hip hop. And I got a whole other video we're about to do on this and break this down. But just think about all the artists that were coming out, 80s, 90s, I'm sorry, 70s, 80s. It was how many? KRS-One, Knowledge Reigns Supreme over nearly everyone. The God, Rakim Allah, like Poor Righteous Teachers. It was all there for us. The thing is, that wasn't making the money for everybody. It wasn't just that. It was dangerous to the system because that's revolutionary. And that's what hip hop is. Hip hop is a revolution, right? We evolve constantly. And that's evolution is part of this revolution. Our records go around and these cycles go around. Everything that's happening then is happening now. We look at, go back to 92. There's war. I was just watching the George Carlin comedy special. He's talking about wars, and it sounds exactly, he could be talking about Trump instead of Bush. You know what I'm saying? And so the other part is our division. We don't know who we are. We don't agree on who we are. We have people fighting and believing in this program of a fucking birth date. And we have infighting within the culture, which is to create the divide amongst us, right? And then we pick and choose and we don't stand on business. Like certain people are okay. This person is not okay. I'm using an example right here, right? Like, let's use Alchemist as an example. Alchemist is a white Jewish kid from Beverly Hills. Is anybody watching this gonna argue and say he's not part of hip hop? And he doesn't represent hip hop culturally. He doesn't represent hip hop from a positive way. And would you say, oh, because he's white, he can't be down? Would anybody watching this say that? With all of the artists he's worked with everybody who celebrated him, he is on a generational run. And guess what? He's been around for 30 plus years as a rapper, as a DJ, as a producer, as an MC. Like he's there, solidified. So what are we arguing about when we say this can only be one ethnicity? That we have to, again, this is about community. Now, again, I'm going to reinforce this till I'm blue in the face as well. We cannot say anything, but this is a evolution of Black culture, period. But actually, let me not say because but erases everything else. This is an evolution of Black culture. Historically, everything we can go from Asia, Africa, because that was one continent, to, obviously the slave trade, everything that's happened since then, all of the struggle. But within that, again, it's about the commonalities. Without the common struggles and people feeling the same way, it would have only stayed that big in Black culture only. But because the energy is authentic, everybody can attach to this. Now, what we need to figure out is who is real and who isn't. Because it's not an ethnicities thing, it's an energy thing. So is your energy dead? Is that why you say hip hop is dead? Or do you just not want to put up the fight like we used to and really take this shit back? Because that's what needs to happen. We need to be revolutionary again. We need to focus on counterculture again because that's where our strengths are. And then we need to build community. So hip hop isn't dead. We just keep giving it away. We got to cut that shit out. We got to come together and we got to figure out how we build community because unity is our capital. No matter what, we are stronger together, period. Let's talk about it. Peace.